X, can we start off from this? That's going to be awesome. First of all, thank you so much for your time, sir. I want to start off by saying
Sanjay, thank you. Yeah, are we on? Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Shooting?
We're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so let's start.
I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for your time right in the beginning, for giving me a little bit of your time today and
Sanjay,
yesterday.
you are too kind. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I want to say a special thank you to the audiences in Nepal and your audience. कि मेरा सौभाग्य है कि मैं आपके शो पे आया हूँ और विशेषकर काठमांडू में नेपाल में आके मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई और यहाँ पर मुझे प्यार और मोहब्बत ही मिला है मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कहना चाहूँगा और बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने मुझे अपने शो पे बुलाया thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, sir. And yesterday I was really happy and excited. X, can we show a picture of yesterday when we ended up going to Patan Darbar Square? How was your experience, first of all, at Patan? I want to start off by just quickly asking you that.
Patan was, I have to thank you for taking me there because I didn't know कि आप मुझे कहाँ ले जा रहे हो लेकिन ये पूरे शहर के अंदर पाटन जैसी जगह है पाटन दरबार इट वाज फैसिनेटिंग इट वाज सो क्वेंट और वहाँ के जितने भी मंदिर हैं और मतलब नेपाल के कल्चर के बारे में बहुत कुछ मालूम पड़ता है वहाँ पर and you understand a lot of how people lived in those days with those beautiful temples. फिर तो आपने कमाल कर दिया आप निवारी खाना के लिए ले गए मुझे.
Are you okay? Were you okay with that? I was a little bit worried.
I was absolutely worried. ज़्यादा चिंता मत कीजिए मैं इतना नाजुक नहीं हूँ लेकिन खाना बहुत बढ़िया था और उसके अलावा ये जगह जो है ये इतनी खूबसूरत जगह मुझे लगा कि मैं अपने घर के किचन में बैठा हूँ और खाना भी बहुत अच्छा था और मैं ये ढूंढ रहा था कि मुझे कहीं ऐसी जगह हो जहाँ ऑथेंटिक नेवारी खाना मिले और आपने बस मेरी जो इच्छा थी तमन्ना थी वो पूरी कर दी आपने. Thank you very much for that. And this lovely and Didi, this lovely lady.
She was awesome.
जब मैं वापस आऊँगा तो यहाँ वापस जाएंगे हम.
Done 100%. We'll go and get some bara. X, move on to the next picture. And then I WhatsApped you one photo as well.
Yeah, I got that. That was really beautiful. This is absolutely fantastic.
I'm really happy, and people loved it. Friends sent a lot of messages, and they loved it too. I'm so thankful to you that you took a stroll along.
You're thanking me. I'm the one that should be thanking you. I didn't know what to expect when you told me in the morning, let's go to the Ratan Darbar, Patan Darbar. I didn't know what to expect, and suddenly in a place like Kathmandu, which has become modern living and the architecture is very different, and suddenly you find a place like Patan Darbar. It's so quaint, it's so unique, and it takes you back to what culturally, how people lived and that is very important for me that these little gems of the cultural heritage are still maintained here. So thank you for that.
Also, I just wanted to start off by asking you, how was Bhaktapur? And then before that, how was going out late at night in Kathmandu? How was that?
Which should I start with?
Well, let's start off with you.
Let's start with the Bhakti side of it first.
The Bhakti side of it first.
The Bhaktapur was absolutely fascinating. Once again, it's like a gem in all the progress and all the cultural, the way people are living in modern life, which I've got nothing against. Life progresses, people live that, but to be taken back in time and to go there with that beautiful bell. And I was joking with Shere, who was showing me around. मैंने कहा, was this the bell to लोगों के लिए खाने के लिए बुलाते थे उस ज़माने में mobile phones और कुछ होता नहीं था. But it was nice to go back to see how announcements were made and how people were brought together. मतलब लोगों को इकट्ठा करने के लिए ये घंटियाँ बजती थी और of course I saw the tallest temple, which was fantastic. It was a beautiful place. I loved Bhaktapur. Bhaktapur, जहाँ भक्त जाते हैं. And what really fascinated me was the bath.
Oh, yeah.
मैंने कहा हम यार गलत टाइम में पैदा हुए. And that bath was so beautiful. And मतलब इनका लोगों का क्या नज़ाकत क्या स्टाइल हुआ करता था. We need to have a place like that to bathe. and for the people to keep that part of the heritage
And to preserve it.
and to preserve it, most importantly. So my compliments to the people in Nepal for preserving it, and the societies, and I'm sure from the government as well, for having preserved these gems in the middle of the city, which literally, it's like exploring a place, and then suddenly this beautiful gem appears. So I enjoyed Bhaktapur very much.
Yeah.
और वहाँ की दही खाई मैंने.
Juju Dao.
Special.
It's called Juju Dao.
Juju Dao. Very good. अच्छी ठंडी दही थी और कुल्हड़ में थी. तो वो खूब मज़ा आया, बहुत आनंद आया उसका. And it was very nice, very good experience.
I'm really glad you had a fantastic experience. Now you've been to Bhaktapur, you've been to Lalitpur, where Patan Darbar Square is. Now, when you come back from your trek, if you still have time, then we'll take you to Kathmandu Darbar Square.
Of course I'll have time. I always have time for that.
And then maybe we could go ahead and film the web series Dakini in all three places and beyond as well. Could you tell everybody a little bit about
Dakini When Dakini starts. Well, I have to tell you that the author of this book, Deepak Rana, and me were in school together in Nainital in Sherwood. And then we didn't meet each other for a very long time. And मैं फिल्मों में चला गया तो मेरा काम वहाँ शुरू हो गया. Then I lost track of Deepak. And over the last couple of years, I'm so glad that he made contact with me and told me about this book, Dakini. And I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Dakini. And it's called the Himalayan Quartet. It's a fascinating saga about the life in Nepal from the time of Muhammad Ghazni, when the Mughals came down into this part of the world, and all the changes that took place, and the migration of the Nepalese people, and the stories. It's part fiction, but it's also based in a historic, you could say, a crucible, where these events, are in that period of time. Yeah. But it takes you through a long chapter. It takes you through a long story of various decades, and it traces the life of the families that had to move, and the intrigue and the romance. And I see this as I actually recommend that people should read it, because this is a compilation of 4 novels, an omnibus, you could say.
Yeah.
And it's a really wonderful read. And we are hoping now, we're at the brainstorming stage where we want to put a script to this. And I see it as a saga of Nepal, but in a web series format, because we have the accessibility to web series these days.
True.
तो हम सोच रहे हैं कि इसका 5-6 सीजन, 8-9 एपिसोड पर सीजन, ताकि ये पूरी कहानी एक अपने मतलब उभर के आए पब्लिक के लिए, बट इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे. हमारा इस वक्त हमारा इरादा है और हमारी सोच है कि इसे हमें कुछ कॉन्फर्मेशन नहीं मिला, नेटफ्लिक्स इंटरनेशनल पे डाल दें, ताकि पूरी दुनिया को ये कहानी उनके सामने पेश की जाए. तो towards that end we are working on it. अभी स्क्रिप्टिंग शुरू हो रही है, और उसी बहाने से मैं दीपक को मिलने आया हूँ, और उसमें आपसे भी मुलाकात होगी, तो बहुत ही अच्छा रहा है.
Thank you so much. I'm basically humbled by your words. I want to start off. Obviously, we'll come to Dakini again. I want to start off by quickly just asking you. You were 10 years old, if I'm not mistaken, when you started in theatre. If I'm not mistaken, was it 10 or even earlier?
Well, it started in school.
Yeah.
So it was a boarding school, and my father was in the Indian Air Force. So a lot of the armed forces children were sent to boarding schools, because at the time, the places that the Air Force and people were posted, they didn't have the kind of schools that the education facilities weren't up to the mark in certain ways. So I was very fortunate to be sent to Sherwood in Nainital. And actually it began for me there, because when I joined school, I had a little bit of a musical background because of my father, who was a classical Indian singer before he joined the Air Force. And he was a very good classical Indian singer. The Air Force happened to him quite by chance. I was, जो लोगों की तकदीर कहीं होती है और कहीं और निकल जाते हैं, तो किस्मत की बात होती है कि सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर शुरू हो गया और वो एविएशन में चले गए, लेकिन वो हिज हार्ट वाज क्लासिकल इंडियन म्यूजिक. तो व्हेन ही टुक मी टू स्कूल, आई थिंक ही मस्ट हैव टोल्ड द म्यूजिक टीचर देयर दैट ये थोड़ा सा इसको क्वायर में देख लो, अगर कुछ काम का हो तो इसको पियानो वानो सिखा लीजिएगा. So once I got into the choir and I was learning piano, so my musical journey began, and from there I started doing school plays. और कुछ तो schools में आपको मालूम है होते रहता है ये concert वो concert, तो मैं हमेशा stage पे होता था और audience में नहीं. तो वहाँ से मेरी मतलब जो यात्रा शुरू हुई, तो मेरे ख्याल से वहीं से शुरू हुई, क्योंकि मुझे स्टेज पे आने की आदत हो गई. और मुझे अब मैं उस वक्त तो कभी सोचा भी नहीं था कि मैं प्रोफेशनल एक्टर बनूंगा, लेकिन इतना था कि मुझे मज़ा आता था. और ये भी नहीं मैं कह सकता हूँ कि क्यों मज़ा आता था, बच्चे थे हम, 8-10 साल के थे, इतना लगता था कि भैया इसमें कुछ एक अजीब किस्म का माहौल था, मज़ा आता था स्टेज पे आने का. एक और वो भी पता नहीं स्कूल में ऐसा होता है, एक रूटीन बन गया था. इट वाज एक्सपेक्टेड ऑफ यू. इट वाजंट समथिंग दैट वाज, लोग कुछ और करते थे, कोई स्पोर्ट्स खेलते थे, मैं भी स्पोर्ट्स खेलता था, ये होता था. और जब स्कूल के फंक्शंस होते थे तो हमें स्टेज पे बुला लेते थे, हम जाके करते थे जो भी करना है, वेरी नेचुरली और वहाँ वेरी ऑर्गेनिकली और वेरी, उसको कुछ जोर और एफर्ट नहीं था. और वहीं से जड़ जो है और बीज जिसे बोलते मेरे ख्याल से वहीं से शुरू हुआ. और तो मैं कुछ उसके मतलब आई कांट put a finger on anything else where it began. So yeah, so I joined Sherwood when I was about 9 years old.
Yeah.
तो वहाँ से मेरी ये journey वहीं से शुरू हुई है.
Somebody who is probably listening right now, right? I wanted to touch base on this. Somebody who's listening right now, probably the person's, let's say 18. Let me pick up from that age, right? Somebody who's 18 who... 18, I'll pick up from there, right?
मतलब 18 साल की बात कर रहे हैं.
18.
Fantastic.
So somebody who's 18 who probably, when the person was 9 or 10, got interest in theater in school, right? Now the person's 18 and probably wants to become a professional, you know? What would you want to go ahead and say to a person who wants to become a professional actor at his or her teenage years now in 2023?
If you already have a background of being on stage in your school and things, to begin with, that stage and becoming a professional actor is a totally different thing. I mean, it's not necessary that it has a natural progression to becoming a professional actor. You know, the most important thing to be a professional in anything, whether it is acting or you can whatever you choose in your life to to select as a profession, it has to come from within you. You must have the passion for it. You get invited to become a professional actor. A wonderful actor who I worked with a lot was the great Amrish Puri Saab.
Yes.
And he always told me, he says, फिल्में आपके पास आनी चाहिए, आप फिल्मों के पास मत जाइए. थिएटर में काम करते रहिए. अगर आप में वो जुनून है और आप में वो पैशन है तो थिएटर में घुस जाइए, कहीं भी हो. चाहे नेपाल में, ऐसी बात नहीं है कि मैं यार बड़े थिएटर में जाऊंगा. थिएटर आप कहीं भी शुरू कर सकते हो. 2-3 लोगों का मतलब अपने दोस्तों को इकट्ठा कर दो, एक स्क्रिप्ट लो और सड़क की साइड पे जाके प्ले करो. 3-4 लोग 10 लोग आपको देखेंगे, आपका जर्नी शुरू हो जाता है. यू बिकम एन एक्टर. प्रोफेशनल एक्टर यू हैव टू बी. मुझे लगता है कि आपको बुलान कि आप इतना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, आप अपने काम के बलबूते पे, तो आपको कोई बुलाएगा फिल्मों में काम करने के लिए या टेलीविजन में काम करने के लिए, तो देन यू बिकम अ प्रोफेशनल एक्टर. जब आपको कोई बुलाता है और आपको कहता है कि भैया आप हमारे लिए ये काम कीजिए तो आपको हम प्रोफेशनल बना देंगे, आपको कुछ पैसे देंगे, तो वहाँ से आपको लगता है कि ये मेरी रोजी रोटी हो सकती है. लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स थिंग्स आर डिफरेंट टुडे. पीपल एक्सक्यूज मी, लोग आते हैं बॉम्बे के अंदर कि हमें एक्टर बनना है, और दैट्स ओके. बट यू नो, लोग मेरे ख्याल से ज़्यादातर के लोग स्टारडम के पीछे पड़े हैं. उनको एक्टर बनना कम है और उनको स्टारडम चाहिए, जो ख़राब बात नहीं है. क्यों, अच्छी बात है कि आप स्टार बनना चाहते हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि सब आपको देखें, आप फेमस बन जाएं, मशहूर हो जाएं, वो ठीक है. लेकिन वो दैट इज जस्ट a part of what happens to you as an actor, if at all it happens. इस ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप एक्टर है तो आप स्टार बन जाएंगे. तो ये आपको तय करना है अपने 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 ज़िंदगी में कि ये एक्टिंग का काम है, मुझे ये मेरा जुनून है और मैं करना चाहूँगा। तो वहाँ से आपकी जर्नी शुरू होती है और बहुत डिसअपॉइंटमेंट्स होते हैं एंड इट्स अ वेरी टफ प्रोफेशन, क्योंकि सब चाहते हैं कि हमारा नाम हो और मशहूर हो जाए। आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट इट, बट वो दैट इज़ लाइक सेइंग कि मुझे काम करने के पहले मुझे इनाम चाहिए।
Doesn't work that way.
इट डजंट वर्क दैट वे इन रियल लाइफ। पहले आप काम कीजिए, पहले आप मतलब वो मजदूरी कीजिए, मेहनत कीजिए, और फिर अगर वहाँ पर कोई फल है, कोई इनाम है आपके लिए, तो वो आ जाएगा आपके पास। तो तैयारी होती है जैसे हर चीज़ में होती है। आप लोग एक्टिंग की बात करते हैं तो अगर आप बिजनेस में जाना चाहते हैं तो लोग MBA की डिग्री करते हैं। आप अगर इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हैं तो आप इंजीनियरिंग की डिग्री लेते हैं, आप पढ़ाई करते हैं, तैयारी करते हैं। वैसे ही एक्टरों के लिए लोगों को गलत फहमी है कि एक्टर आप आ गए तो आप एक्टर बन गए। नहीं, तैयारी होती है, बहुत मेहनत है, और कभी कभी तो आपको कोई देखेगा भी नहीं, हो सकता है, या आप बहुत बड़े स्टार बन जाएं, वो अलग बात है। तो अगर आपको जुनून है इस काम की तो करते रहिए।
Who did you look up to, sir, when you were in your teenage years in cinema, or it can be in TVs or in theater? Who did you look up to, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all, not at all. Firstly, I never thought I was going to become a professional actor. तो मैं फिल्में देखता था मज़े के लिए। जब मैं लखनऊ में थे, मॉर्निंग शो होता था, मैं सभी वेस्टर्न्स देखता था, बर्ट लैंकास्टर और ये सब बैंग बैंग वेस्टर्न्स होती थी। मैं वेस्टर्न में जाके बैठ जाता, लव इट।
गुड बैड एंड द अगली,
गुड बैड एंड द अगली, क्लिंट ईस्टवुड की फिल्में थी, वो हम देखते थे एज चिल्ड्रन। फिर हमारे स्कूल में हमें हिंदी फिल्में भी दिखाई जाती थी। तो ऑफ कोर्स देयर वाज द ग्रेट एंड द लेजेंडरी दिलीप कुमार साहब, और फिर आई रिमेंबर सीइंग ऑल द अदर ओल्ड मूवीज ऑल्सो, तो आंखें बारह हाथ, एंड यू नो ऑल दीज ओल्ड फिल्म्स, देयर वर मदर इंडिया, शहीद, मनोज कुमार साहब की शहीद। तो ऐसे हम फिल्में देखते आए, एंड देन व्हेन वी बिकेम अ लिटिल मोर कॉन्शियस ऑफ what the job was, who the actors were, and I had a great liking for English movies. So I began to then understand people like Marlon Brando later on, and before that it was all entertainment. And in the Hindi films, of course, Dalip Kumar Saab, Dara Singh movies. I loved the Dara Singh movies. I used to see a lot of Dara Singh films. हम स्कूल से रात को भाग के मतलब दारा सिंह साहब की फिल्में देखते थे हम. So it was just a progress from there to for me it was always entertainment. It wasn't कि मैं किसी एक्टर को मतलब इंटेलेक्चुअली समझने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, वो सब नहीं था. हम जाते थे, जो भी पॉपुलर पिक्चर होती थी वो हम मतलब स्कूल से भाग के उसके बाद भी जाके देख लेते थे. तो ऑफ कोर्स द कॉन्शियसनेस बिगैन, आई थिंक, with the coming of when I became as a teenager and I became older, I started working in the theatre.
Yeah.
Then I became conscious of a lot of Indian actors, and amongst them were the stars, you know, like Mr. Rajesh Khanna, then Bachchan Saab, and again Dilip Kumar Saab, Shashi Kapoor, and Shami Kapoor Saab I used to love. So you know, it's kuch, I don't put my finger on it and say,
Sure.
It's a mixture of a lot of influences. And in the West as well, now as time goes by, of course, you know, I'm fascinated by a lot of American actors like Mr. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman. The greatest of them all is Daniel Day-Lewis.
Of course.
And William Hurt. And even here, I mean, in locally also, I mean, there are quite a few people who've been doing some very good work. Like, of course, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, who's a fantastic actor. Had the opportunity to work with Om Puri ji, with Irfan, and now there are several other performers who are doing really well. So it's a good time. It's a good time for actors with OTT. There's that much more work.
True.
And there's a different kind of work. तो पहले 2.5 घंटे की फिल्म में जब तक आप कैरेक्टर्स को इस्टेब्लिश करते थे वो समय नहीं था. आज की तारीख में अगर आप OTT कर रहे थे, यू हैव दैट मच मोर टाइम. आपकी कैरेक्टराइजेशन पे ज़्यादा, टेलीविजन में भी वही होता है. तो it's become a sort of a good progression and a change in terms of format for actors, because you get that much more space to develop characters or tell the story. Really, forget about developing characters. That's
tell the story. Share the story.
You have so much more time, screen time, to tell the story, and that's always beneficial because एक हद तक वो जो पाबंदी होती है 2.5 घंटे की फिल्म में वो थोड़ी अभी कम हो गई है.
Does the learning ever stop?
I don't think it stops in anything in life. I mean, I think life is a process where if I feel that every day you get up, it's something to learn in conversations, something to learn from people who you meet. Like from you took me yesterday to a beautiful place, so there was a learning process there. Professionally as well, I mean, you're a professional and you do this wonderful show. For me, if anybody even thinks and makes a statement, yeah, mujhe sab malum hai. Do you know how that sounds? First of all, it sounds so pompous. And it is, I feel sorry for someone who says that. And worse, I feel sorry for someone who believes that. कि अब मुझे सीखने के लिए मैं सब सीख चुका हूँ, सब हो गया, अब मुझे सीखना नहीं है. तो फिर सब पैकअप करिए, चले जाइए इस दुनिया से. मतलब क्या फ़ायदा जाने का? अगर आप कहते हैं कि मेरी जर्नी ख़त्म हो गई है सीखने की, तो ख़त्म हो गई, तो जिंदा क्यों है फिर? I mean, I don't think it ever ends. It shouldn't ever end, because if you keep yourself alert and you keep yourself aware of the fact that there's in life, it's always evolving. There are new things happening. You have to be in that frame of mind. You have to. It doesn't come automatically, Sanjay. It doesn't come like, you have to keep those antennas. वो जो antennas होते हैं वो on रखने चाहिए आपको, कि ये एक process है जिंदगी जहाँ लोगों से सीखने का मौका मिलता है और कभी-कभी interaction का मौका मिलता है. तो I think it's a process that continues every day of your life, every moment of your life.
Every single moment.
Every single moment. Right here, we're sitting, I'm talking to you, I'm exploring my thoughts, my emotions, and I'm learning. I'm trying to understand myself through this conversation.
Yes.
Because you bring back memories, you ask me questions that take me back in time. I'm beginning to ask myself those questions. What were the influences, as you asked me, in my earlier career? So, it's great. It's great.
The small things that matter. I always feel these are the small things that matter. And yesterday, even when we were having conversation, eating as well as walking as well, there was something that I kind of wanted to talk to you about. Was how was it when you were growing up with your parents, if you don't mind me asking this, that I want to become was there a day when you went up to them and said, okay, I want to become an actor and I'm going to do this for X amount of time?
No.
Was there something like that?
No, absolutely not. I'm saying, that's what you asked me this question earlier on. Look, I finished with school. I came back for my 3 months holidays. Zamane mein kya hota, 9 mahine school hota tha, and it was 3 months holiday. So I first came to Bombay way back in 1968. I don't think you were born at the time, but that's okay. I don't think a lot of people were born at the time from your audience, so I mean that's all right. But I came and I was, my mother, after about 8 or 10 days, was sitting around at home just eating, as boarding school people are. You want to eat. She got fed up with me and she said, do something constructive. तो मैं स्कूल में प्ले करके आया था. तो मैंने कहा कि यार बॉम्बे में कोई है या is there any company that does plays and things like that? So everybody said, yeah, this अंग्रेजी theatre में तो the people are Mr. Alec Padamsee and Pearl Padamsee. So I literally dialed Mr. Alec Padamsee and he called me over. They were doing a play और मैं उसमें घुस गया. So I started working with theatre group in Bombay just like that when I was on my class 10 holidays. And it was never, and that's what I mean when Amrish Puri Saab told me that the movies have got to come to you.
Yeah.
After I was doing, then I came back after I finished my schooling in Nepal. I was still in Bombay, and I was doing a musical play with Pearl Padamsee. And from that play, us play में देख के Shyam Benegal साहब offered me a movie.
Yeah.
तो फिल्मों में आने का मतलब ये मैंने तय नहीं किया था कि मैं फिल्म एक्टर बनूंगा या I'm going to be a professional actor. He said, we all had long hair in that play because it was Godspell.
Godspell, right?
Jesus, yeah. So he said, if you have a haircut, I've got a role for you in Hyderabad. I'm making a feature film. So वहाँ जाओ. So I didn't know what feature films were. I just went there and started working with Shyam Babu. And we did Ankur. It was my first film. It was a great experience.
74, right?
Around there, around there. It was a great experience. It was released in 74.
74.
But this was perhaps a year before 70, maybe around, it can't have been 73 because I wasn't here in 73. Yeah, around 74, you're right, in that year.
Yeah.
So, and it was a great experience. I mean, it was a huge privilege to be with Mr. Shyam Benegal. Mr. Gobind Leilani was the director of photography who himself became a very renowned and a wonderful director in his own right. But look at the star cast. There was Sadhu Meher, who's a wonderful actor. Shabana Azmi's debut. Anand Nag, who's a Kannada actor, was like absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, the cast that Shyam Babu put together were really, really fantastic. And for me, it was a great experience because it taught me a lot because eventually my role was practically edited out completely. There's just one shot of me left in Ankur. तो वो भी समझ में आया कि थिएटर और फिल्मों में बहुत फर्क है. Because the track that I was doing with Anand Nag, I shot for about 7 days in a 35 shooting day, in a project that the full shooting days were about 40. So it was substantial, I mean, my role, but the whole role got cut out. And then you realize that, in cinema, sometimes after shooting, which in the theater you never realize, there's no cutting. I mean, the curtain goes up and you perform. Or sometimes there's no curtain at all, you still perform. So it was a learning process for me to understand about screenplay and scripting, and sometimes after shooting, to get the story across, you have to edit. So a lot of scenes get cut out, scenes that were considered at shooting that were important, but when you put them all together, you realize that perhaps you can do away with them. They may be slowing down the movie or not adding to the narrative. So that was a learning process. It was fantastic. And then I continued to do theater in Bombay. I worked in advertising. And from the next film I got was about 5-6 years later, I did Shaan.
Done. And then there was no looking back.
And it began from that. But I had choices at the time.
Yeah. Because
I was producing my own ad films. So when I got Shaan, fantastic, huge movie at the time, and to be called by the great Mr. Ramesh Sippy, who had just done Sholay. So it was fantastic. I mean, I really consider myself fortunate to have these opportunities. And at that time, it was a decision that I either continue to make ad films, short films, or go become an actor. So I stopped my ad film company and I just closed it down, and I went to do Shaan. Because that was my calling, and that was really what I wanted to do. And fortunately, I'm continuing to do it. I don't know why, but I still get work. So, I mean, it's become a profession.
It is nothing.
But the underlying factor for this is that through all the ups and downs in my life as an actor, I mean, the low periods and some of when it's going good, nobody has any problems. But when you're down, I have never once felt that I'm in the wrong place, that why did I do this? I should have done some other job. And that is what I want to emphasize to young people like you said, the 18-year-olds who want to turn this into a profession. There are such hard knocks. There are so many disappointments and rewards. I'm not saying they're only disappointment. I'm not trying to scare you. But at no time, if you have the passion, at no time should you feel when you're down, I shouldn't have become an actor. And people who come, I've had people, it's really demeaning to the profession. When people come and say, कि मैं यार 1 साल के लिए एक्टर बनने की कोशिश करूँगा, अगर 1 साल में नहीं हुआ तो मैं चला जाऊँगा. तो उनको हम कहते हो तुम आए क्यों हो यार, अभी चले जाओ क्योंकि कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. So people actually treat the acting profession as कि यार कुछ और काम धंधा है नहीं, चलो एक्टर बन जाते हैं. Such people will only get into this profession at their own peril.
Yeah.
क्योंकि you cannot treat it as like any other profession. You have to be committed to it, and you have to want to do it.
Is there something called Plan B?
There is no plan B for me. I've never had a plan B. I've been asked this before. What's your plan B?
Okay.
So I said, well, plan A is working so far, and I'm well past 60 years old. So fortunately for me, I never had a plan B. Is what I'm trying to say.
Should there ever be a plan B when it comes to?
I don't know. This it's up to every individual, but this is what I'm saying. You know, people come to be actors and they say, "Yaar, agar yahan nahi bane." I suppose it's a natural thing to say, "Ki agar yahan par main flop ho gaya aur mujhe kaam nahi mila, to kuch kaam hona chahiye to make a living." So yeah, if you want to have a plan B, have a plan B. But I was young, stupid, overconfident, so I never even thought of a plan B. I never thought of a plan B.
Confidence is something that gets you going.
When you're young, you're overconfident. I mean, you think, "Yeah, मैं हूँ tiger. So क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं होगा." It's later on when you go through this when you remain in this profession, if you can, for like 40, 45 years as I have.
Exactly.
Then you realize that, it was pretty reckless. A lot of things could have gone wrong.
Now when you look back.
When you look back, you say, that was really reckless, It's like a dose of crazy courage,
Yeah.
But when you look back at it and you look at the things that can go wrong, could have gone wrong, it's scary. But you thank whoever there is to thank and say, man, I've been fortunate. I'm still here. I'm still surviving. Pata nahi kya kiya maine, but it's worked. Yeah, but I suppose from the practical point of view, I suppose it's good to have a plan B. But you should educate yourself. It's always good to, education is a bunch, when I mean education, I don't mean college degrees. But I mean, it's good to expose yourself to college atmosphere, to school. And acting is, the more knowledge you have, the more world knowledge and the more you read and, everything, it helps in life. In every walk of life, it's helpful. And it's very helpful as an actor as well, because it gives you a depth of understanding. It helps you understand storytelling. It helps you understand characters. It's an important part of. Talking about Plan B, I suppose it's prudent and smart to have a Plan B.
Now when you reflect, if you reflect back.
This is for other people.
Yeah.
And maybe for myself sometimes when I get asked this question of Plan B, it makes me nervous. I say, I don't have a Plan B. Maybe I should have a Plan B. But I suppose for the sake of survival and the failure rate is very high in this profession. There are a lot of people who unfortunately find it very difficult to make a living in this profession. Yeah. It's the way it is. And I think with the coming of with social media and OTT, people have branched out into various aspects of this of performing arts, like you. I mean, so it's fascinating. You found a niche for yourself. You have a wonderful, you have a podcast. You have a platform. You've created this for yourself, as you were telling me.
Yes, sir.
So there are things happening there, but the bottom line is, look, if it doesn't come from your heart, don't do it, because you're going to be disappointed. It doesn't work. I mean, my experience, if you don't have a passion for it, if your heart is not motivating you to do something, don't do it. Because then not only Plan B, you'll need till Plan Z.
The thing that I was fascinated yesterday when we were talking, and then you mentioned 250, Sanjay, give or take more than 250 movies. I was like, oh my God, The thing that I know a lot of friends want me to ask this, and I'm going to go for it. The unique shades of darkness. It's slightly unique shades of darkness, right? When it comes to your characters, some of your characters, I'm just going to touch base on this, some of your characters are pretty dark. When you're performing, how do you get into your character? Like, is there a trick that you'd like to share with everybody?
So, actually, you're complimenting me by saying, how do I get into my characters? I don't usually go that far. In the sense that earlier on, You see, some of the characters that I played are kind of fictitious.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's take a very popular character that everybody knows, Madan Chopra. Now, when the script of Madan Chopra came to me, it's actually the script that guides you along. I mainly stick to, I go with what the scenes are doing, what the story is doing. And basically, it was a dark side to him. I mean, he's a kind of, and some of the characters I play, it sort of accentuates and brings, I suppose, it's the dark side of human nature. There we are.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dark side of human nature which we all possess. So there are certain triggers in the script, hopefully, that bring this aspect of it. Otherwise, and from there on, it's really performing. It's playing a person who has a dark side. We all have a dark side.
Of course we do. Yeah.
And if the script triggers that side of it, or that's the character, and that's the part of the story that you are expected and which has been given to you to be part of that story, because it's very important to have the antagonist and the protagonist. So, I mean, there has to be a negative force for there to be a positive force kind of thing.
Of course.
And of course, there has to be the triangle, there has to be a woman involved. So, I mean, when I got these kind of roles at the outset, I remember a very, very legendary producer-director, Mr. B.R. Chopra. He called me for a film in which I was supposed to play the second lead, which was a kind of a softish kind of second lead Friends character with Rishi Kapoor for a film. And he had called me for it, and then I went off on a play tour, and I came back, and that role had gone to someone else. And he told me a very nice thing, which at that moment I felt that, he's not given me this role, why hasn't he given it to me kind of thing. But later on, I realized the wisdom that he had. He said, Dalip, मेरा बेटा जो है कुकी, his name was Ravi Chopra, he said वो एक फिल्म बना रहा है आज की आवाज़, उसमें उसे strong actors की ज़रूरत है. He used a very interesting word. He didn't say villains.
Strong actors.
He didn't say वो जो negative role है जो everybody says. He said कुकी की इस फिल्म में तुम्हारा कुछ खास है नहीं, क्योंकि I feel कि he had seen me in a play and things. So he said, go across the room. He said, उस कमरे में जाओ, वहाँ पर कुकी कास्टिंग कर रहा है, मतलब उनकी रीडिंग चल रही है for a film called आज की आवाज़. And I went to the next room, and there was Raj Babbar and Smita Patil and Nana Patekar, whose first film it was. And he told me this. He said he needs strong, powerful actors for the roles that he's got.
Oh, wow.
And that is what I have done, even in Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. Yeah, there's negative, positive. People call it what they like. But for me, these are strong characters who have contributed to the narrative. And I seem to get those. And I'm very happy for it. Because अगर आप protagonist, अगर आप hero नहीं कर रहे हो, तो उसके बाद है कौन? हमारी फिल्में जो पहले बनती थी, जब where I started, I was very happy to play the stronger negative force. I mean, you look at Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. You look at Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. You look at Baazigar. हीरो के बाद, शाहरुख खान के रोल के बाद लोग मदन चोपड़ा को याद करते. And there was Raki Gulzar also in the film. It had some wonderful actors, of course, Kajol and Shilpa and things. But it's the role that people remember. It's the writing which helps the actor along to be able to be part of the narrative which is significant in the story. I'm telling you, I can try and get into a role as much as I can. I can do, and that we do, because if you tell me that tomorrow you are playing Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, for example, which I did in Bagh Milkha Bagh. Of course I will research it. I went through the documentation, and it's well-documented character. You know that Pandit Nehru is very well documented. I heard his soundtrack, how he sounds, the tone of his voice. Then I sat with my harmonium and picked his tone so that I could get his speech tone. Everybody has a pitch in their voice. When you speak, when you sing or whatever, there's a distinct tone and a pitch where you pitch your voice. So I got his pitch, and then I tried, and then I began to say my dialogue in that tone, in that pitch, and then his accent and the way he walked. So utna to research to you're expected to do, that's your job. So aisi baat nahi hai. And then there's the method school, so you can take it beyond. So I believe that wherever possible, without killing yourself, if you can live the character,
Oh.
If someone tells me कि you're playing a character from the mountains, he lives in a village in the mountains, I would like to go in that in the mountains and live in that village.
Let's say in Dakini down the road, you might be playing one.
If something comes up for me in Dakini, and I can do it, where you can do it, it's good to feel the character from that point of view, to be able to live the character. But you need a lot of support system. You need the system of the film to support you do that. Hamare yahan, unfortunately, there is no time. Everybody wants you to start working within 15 days to 10 days to 5 days to this. Very few opportunities come where they give you the script in advance and you can plan it and you can get into doing some preparation. More than getting into the skin of a character. Look, when I was playing Nehru also, I looked like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru because the look was there, the clothes. But you're always yourself. You're Dalip Tahil playing Nehru. And you try to get into it as much as possible. So when I was a young actor, I always felt that I'm going to transform myself into that character.
Yeah.
But sometimes, to an extent, in certain ways, it's feasible. But most of the time, it's you are playing to a high degree of skill.
Yeah.
Another person. So that there is that distinction. You are playing, and that is your job.
Yeah.
I'm Dalip Tahil portraying Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So I try to get the look right, I try to get the face right, I try to get the jaw structure. I had prosthetics because his underlip was a little thing. So you go through all those. It's a visual medium. So you have to try and look the part as much as possible. Because visually is what is
The
60,
audience,
70%. You look the part and it helps you a lot. For example, people say, I'm sure there is no role that you cannot play. I say, well, that's absolutely bizarre because, you'll never cast me as Nelson Mandela. Or you'll never cast me as Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer. So, of course, there are restrictions in terms of, that's what casting is about. There's certain roles that I will never play. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So there is that, and that's what casting does. They try to get the right person to fit the right kind of the role, so that when you see the movie, it looks credible, it's believable. That's all you want. When you see Bhag Milka Bhag, I hope, and now I've been given feedback that when I came on screen, people said, "Hey, Nehru, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru." There was no who's this guy? Kaun hai ye? It was instant Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru because you dress that way, you look that way, and this thing. So that is what in my book, is what you have to achieve, is enough credibility and authenticity to be able to portray the character that you're portraying. Baki, mostly in Hindi films, apart from these characters that I played Raja Dashrath also, which means there's not much visual reference for him, but you get it in the script. When it's a good, well-written script, you get it from there. And in Hindi movies, most of the negative characters are based on fictitious characters, but who exist in real life.
Strong characters.
Strong characters who exist in your everyday life. You open the newspaper and you find really some very strong characters. So it's you learn all that you go through. They all try and use every sort of technique to get it right.
Was there a time when you were doing all these more than 250 plus movies? Was there a time when you were doing a couple of movies at the same time? And you had to switch from character to character?
Right through the 80s. This was the system. I was doing it's a couple of movies at the time. I was doing about 10 movies simultaneously. So I was the shift. It was a great shift system that had begun. So we were going to be 4 hours in the morning doing one film. And after lunch, we go off to do another film. और शाम को 2-3 घंटे किसी और सेट पे 3 shifts होते थे. In fact, very funny things used to happen in those days. If a producer came to sign you and you were not doing 3 shifts, they didn't sign you. They said, तुम तो बेकार हो, 3 shift नहीं करो, सभी 3 shift कर रहे हैं. मतलब you are not a popular actor.
Popular actor. So the more shifts
तो तुम्हें हम क्यों ले पिक्चर में? The 3 shift, they expected you. If you said I've got 5-6 days to give you, they left. if you had to give them, like as we used to call it, dropper ke saath dete the 3 ghante, 4 ghante, 6 ghante. It wasn't very conducive to filmmaking. It seemed at a time when, it was crazy, because the yardstick was that if you were not doing 3 shifts, you weren't an actor, of any consequence in the commercial world. So it was a system that failed. And I'm very happy it eventually fell apart, because you can't sustain something like that. I have literally shot recently. In 2016, I was shooting in the daytime in Hyderabad for Sia Ke Ram. And in the evenings, I had signed on a film. I told them I can't do the movie. They said, no, we're only shooting at night in Bombay. So it's all night shooting. So I had to catch a flight from Hyderabad. This is 2016. Hyderabad, I has to catch a flight at about 6:37 in the evening with my makeup man, come to Bombay in an hour, go straight to the night shoot, finish that by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, catch the 6 o'clock flight back to Hyderabad. I did this for 1 week. I was like a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say.
There can't be any quality. After the first 2-3 days was okay, but by day 5, I don't know. I don't know whether I was coming or going. But at the time in the 80s, when it was a joke. I did a lot of films with Mithun Chakravarti in those days.
Yeah, that in the 80s.
So Mithun and me used to literally leave one set and go to the next set, just change our clothes and, think that we go to the next set. It was like the same set of actors in different films. And the films didn't look very different either, neither did the scripts. You just had to change your shirt. It was crazy. But that's what it was. It was like I suppose for the producers, it was like and for the actors, it was like a game of roulette. If you're a leading man or if you're an actor, you had 10 films released in a year and a half. उसमें से 8 फिल्में flop होती थी, एक mediocre होती थी, एक hit हो जाती थी. The same system began. You needed one hit, and you're back in the flow. So that was the criterion. It was, if your picture was a success, you were working. If it wasn't, you weren't.
When did the whole shift kind of ended? In the 90s, or was it in the early 2000s?
I'm not really sure, but it sort of fizzled out, I think, around the 90s. And I have to give credit to that to the leading men. I think the young actors, I think Shah Rukh, Salman, Amir, to a large extent, these young actors began to say that, and in the South is very important for this to come, the influence of the South Indian leading actors began to do just 2 films a year. Like 40 days you devote to one film, and then you finish that off, you finish it, then you go to the next project. And that was proving to be the way you should do films. You can't do 3 shifts a day in 3 different films. It's ridiculous. But it became unique to the world of cinema that this was happening in a city called Bombay or in India. It's happened nowhere else in the world.
Even Hollywood was looking into it.
Everybody was just amazed that, what's going on. So when I say I've done only 250 films, I was like kind of comparatively unemployed, because there are other character actors who've done like 400, 500, 600, 700 films.
Oh my God.
So 250 is actually a low.
Towards the lower side.
Towards the lower end of the spectrum. And then a lot of the leading men, because of the quality of what was happening, began to do one project at a time. Also, they began to produce their own films.
So that started happening.
That happened. And when you're producing your own film, you have the responsibility of doing both. So it gradually the system just sort of eased itself out. Because it was too bizarre to sustain in itself. It sort of burnt itself out. And I believe, with all due respect, that actually this system began with a leading man. And one of the handsomest and one of the best leading men that India has ever seen was Mr. Shashi Kapoor. In fact, I was told, I'm not really sure, but from what the analysis of this whole system is, that he was the first one to actually allocate, because he was so busy and so popular, he was the first one to in fact allocate hours to his films. And that's how the shift system really began. So, then it was, everybody was, because you have a handful of actors who are in the flow, who are in the groove. So every producer is coming to that handful of actors because you always want to work with that particular crop because they're the ones who are who are in the successful films.
They're the cream and the right.
Yeah, and so you have to accommodate all the producers. The producers are happy with it because they were getting the other thing that led to this was also the funding was done in this system so that you'd shoot a reel, then you'd go to your financer, and then the financer would give you more money for the fee. So it went on piecemeal in installments. You made your film in installments as well. So if agar aap 1.5 saal mein picture banane, it was not considered thing because the money also came like that. कि पहले पैसे लो, एक schedule करके आओ. और गाने वाने बना के 4-5 सीन करके हीरो के सीन्स करके इसके जो भी मेन कास्ट है आपकी वो आप करके आते थे और फाइनेंसर वो देख के फिर आपको और भी पैसे देते थे तो आप नेक्स्ट शेड्यूल बनाते थे उसके बाद तो
the whole cycle
and it comes with the fact that it's always been the method of funding that reflects on how movies are made. In the West, the reason, by that time we were shooting, I did a film, the famous film called Gandhi.
Yeah.
And I was in mainstream, this was in the 80s.
Exactly.
And then along comes this film called Gandhi, which was just incredible experience for me. They said, there will be a car that will come and pick you up at 6 a.m. At 6 a.m. sharp, there was a car. Took me to the studio. They said 7:15, 7 o'clock, you will have Chota Hazri, which is a term I haven't heard from school.
What is that?
Which is a little something before breakfast.
Okay.
A cup of tea and biscuits. I think Chota Hazri, of course, was huge there. You'll have Chota Hazri. And then then you go into makeup after that at about 8:30 and get ready. By 9 o'clock, you'll start shooting for the main thing at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock sharp. You'll finish. So it was so well planned and organized. Structured is the word. Structured. And they'd been planning this for years and years and years, and it worked like clockwork. So for someone like me, who's a young actor and who's just been working in the beautiful madness of Hindi movies, which I consider is really fantastic, it was amazing. We were like, wow, what's this? This is how movies are also made. So it was fascinating. Then I worked in the West, and it was the same system with the BBC. I was doing EastEnders.
Exactly.
It was beautifully planned, everything spot on. If they wanted you for an extra day, you were given 3 weeks' notice. Scripts were always given to you well in advance, maybe 15, 20 days, 1 month in advance. A well-oiled machine, the BBC, for EastEnders. But as much as I love that system, and of course it's really helps you plan, which I like, and you get you prepared. It's always good to come back to the madness of Bombay.
You do thrive on the chaos.
Yeah. There's something about that madness that you need that adrenaline fix, okay. चलेगा होगा यार आप कल आ सकते हैं परसों आ सकते हैं कब शुरू कर रहे हैं आप एक हफ्ते में सर and everything happens if you do it. Clothes are made, this happened, that happened, boom, you start.
Everything comes together.
It sort of magically comes together. No one knows how. No one can figure it out, but it happens.
It just works.
And that's magical. I mean, I love it. But of course, I mean, it's not, like I said, I mean, I need a bit of both.
Yeah.
And there is sometimes, it gets frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. Wow, that's, like navigating theater when you were young and then obviously jumping to cinema and then now obviously with OTT. And then I was watching, I'm going to be very honest with you, when Samir texted me and then I spoke with Deepak Rai, just a few days before I had finished, it took me a lot of time. It probably took me almost a year to finish off both the seasons of the Family Man. And then I was like, oh my God, he's coming? Yes, of course. It would be such a pleasure. And then I remember that obviously, Manoj Bajpayee, he's got his own thing going on. It's the whole thing is surrounded with him and his family. I don't want to give it away to friends who haven't watched it. You play such a fantastic figure in that in that series.
Thank you.
You know, sir. And now coming to this, you know, coming to OTT and then coming to a mobile phone. Let me say it in that way, because I used to watch you on my cell phone at 11 at night.
Naughty boy. So at least watch me on the television screen.
I'm sure a lot of friends.
But I don't care where you watch me as long as you watch me.
You watch, right? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was coming to, right?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel now? You know,
It makes me feel great. I mean, I'm an actor. I'm not concerned with the format. Where you watch me is not of my doing. I do my job. Then technology can take me to OTT, and technology can take me onto your mobile phone. I'm actually quite okay with it because you watched me. That's great for me as an actor. If you, as an audience, feel that you actually are happy with watching a film or a web series on your mobile phone, 3 cheers to you, buddy. I mean, you're my man. Please do it. If you want to watch it on television, on a television screen, you can do that. Things are streaming now, so, you know, a lot of people tell me, you know, I watched a feature film in 3 and 4 sessions. That's your choice. That's a wonderful choice with OTT and television and with you know, that's exactly what has changed.
Have your friends as well adapted to the change?
Some have, some haven't. You know, I find some actors have not been able. See, OTT's got a different kind of language. The scripts are the storytelling style and the stories they are telling are kind of not different, but I suppose it's very difficult to pinpoint. I mean, you know, they are, at the end of the day, they are commercial stories which, you know, the public wants to see. But maybe some people haven't been able to be perceived. I'm sure the actors themselves are pretty capable of doing any performance, you know, whether it's... See, this thing about how have you adjusted to OTT actually is a very strange question. Because as an actor, I'm doing exactly the
same thing, right? It doesn't...
Yeah. For me, you don't tell me that, oh, you're doing a web series, to alag karo. I'm doing exactly the same job. Its technology is now presenting
the format
me.
Has changed.
Yeah, the format has changed. And from an actor's point of view, web series works for me because I have that much more time.
We don't know what the future brings, right? That's such a fantastic thing.
I didn't, when I was first offered the first web series that I did, which was Made in Heaven with the wonderful Zoya Akhtar was directing, and her team. It was great because, you know, the language was, I was speaking in a normal colloquial language. There wasn't any huge dialogue written as there was in the feature films at that time.
Yeah.
So the whole atmosphere was it was very different, and I really enjoyed it. And I found that, wow, this is a place and space that I'm really comfortable in. And the same with Inside Edge and Family Man. So, I mean, I suppose some actors are comfortable in that space, or rather perceived to be, because I don't think any actor will be uncomfortable in a space like this. But there's a certain language on OTT that some actors seem to fit into, and some don't, and that may be only because of the fact that other people feel they don't fit in. So I mean, it's very difficult to pinpoint it. But as far as I'm concerned as an actor, it's like I said to you. If you watch me on your mobile phone or you watch me on your television screen, good, man. I mean, I'm cool with that. As long as, like I said, you're watching me. The rest is all it's all the technology that's helping you.
And we don't know what's going to come out in the future. And
we have no idea what's going to come in the future.
More fascinating.
Yeah, and it's given it's a fantastic world that is opened up for everyone. For actors, for technicians, for everybody who's involved in the movies. I mean, there's web series now.
Yeah. I want everybody to... do me a favor. Could you open Sir's Instagram? And then I love your Instagram.
Thank you so much.
I love your Instagram, and then I know there's no TikTok in India, and there's no TikTok here as well at the moment. But if there is on the platform, then I'm sure you're going to be in all the platforms. You're so cool, you know. I just want to thank all the friends who I'm sure there's a team behind it, right? I just want to thank
absolutely.
the team.
Look, I had to be very honest with you, Sanjay. I mean, my team is consists of. I'm very happy to say. I mean, the the average age there is 20.
20.
And there are 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's great because they come to me with such wonderful ideas. And I just go with the flow. I mean, I say, yeah, this sounds good. This is fun. This sounds great. And so I'm just having a lot of fun with Instagram and things. I'm telling little stories and little fun little things, which sometimes they come up with. They've been motivated. They're the ones who've actually created this path for me in terms of giving me stuff to do, which they saw in me. And I happily realized that I love doing it. So it's one of those happy marriages kind of thing. No, I still feel we're having. I always tell them. I said we're in a honeymoon period.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Like obviously, right? I'm sitting here. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm sitting here and I'm slightly jealous because in another decade or so, if I'm as cool as you, even 1%, I'll be happy. I'll be content.
That's so kind of you to say that. I mean, I have to compliment my team. My social media team. They're just full of all these wonderful ideas, and when they run it by me, I mean, I just find them so cute. And I find it such a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy doing it. I mean, like the last one we did was, they said that, beti se shaadi karne aaya na.
I know, exactly.
I throw this guy into the boot. I love that. Because, I mean, in all the old crime movies, all the gangster movies in America, they used to catch the thing and shove them into the dicky, as we call it, or the boot.
Yeah. Goodfellas,
all of them. I mean, their method of getting rid of people was to throw them into the dicky of the car. So I thought it was quite cute, and it said, "Beti ka haath mangne aaya tha, abhi nahi mangega." And you asked me, and I found it even funnier considering I don't have a beti.
Yeah.
Beti hai nahi.
Would you be interested in doing Nepali movies? Just throwing it out there because there's something that you said which was like, I'd love to live here. And then I was like, man, you should totally do Nepali movies. I want to tell you that right at the moment.
I am open to any work. I am open to Nepali movies for sure. I go by what the story is, what the script is, and what and who I am. In the storytelling process of film. That's what I base my decisions on. I don't go by कि मैं ये film नहीं करूँगा, मैं नेपाली picture नहीं करूँगा, फलानी picture नहीं. I've done a Malayalam film called My Dear Kutti Chatan, Hello My Dear Kutti Chatan, which was made in 1986, 87, 84, 87. God, I'm forgetting. Yeah, it was 1984. Uh-huh. It was India's first 3D film. The Malayalam films has a small territory. बहुत ही छोटी फिल्में, मतलब छोटी फिल्में not in terms of content, but from the box office and the commercial point of view, that in south of India they're the smallest out of Telugu films and Tamil films. Yeah. Malayalam films are small budget films, and this film was the biggest hit in its time. It was called My Dear Kutti Chatan. There you are. There it is. My Dear Kutti Chatan. Uh-huh. It was a super success.
India's first 3D.
India's first 3D film was made by Jijo. There you are, Dalip Tahil. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm in the cast, and we recently dubbed the English version for it. So I've never been restricted by choti picture hai. Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak was like the smallest movie being made at the time.
At that time?
Yeah, let me give you...
It's one of my favorite movies.
Exactly. Let me give you a perspective of Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. Now it's a huge movie, obviously. But when it was being made, the era was Mr. Bachchan's films. I mean, he reigned supreme on the entire film industry and the colossus that he was and is. In that milieu, in that backdrop, you have a little ditty of a movie called Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak being made. Amir this was his first film, so he was rank new. Nobody knew who he was except vaguely his friends and all in Bandra maybe knew. Juhi Chawla was new. I was the most famous person in Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak when it was being made. Because when we were shooting at various places, people used to come. I had just done Bunyad, which was a very successful TV series with Ramesh Sippy. And people used to come to me for my autograph. Yeah. And they used to look around and say, Sir, hero kaun hai? So as to Amir used to be sitting next to me, I say, hey, he's the hero. Hero, yeah. Acha, 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 acha. And they used to come and ask for his autograph. It was that unknown a project. Nobody knew about Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. Then it became what it became. So I have never based it and said, I never based my decisions on, Nepalese picture hai, choti picture, never. You give me a good story, I don't care which language it's in. If I can contribute to it and do something, I'm always open to it.
Wow. No.
And the reason why I've given you these films is because I proved it in my track record that I have never given significance to the size of the movie. I've always gone by what the content is.
I'm sure there's I'm going to rephrase what I'm about to go ahead and say. I'm sure there are a lot of friends who are watching who are like, oh man, if we can go ahead and get him on the movie, that's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, sure. I'm always open to listening to
Speaking
stories.
a little bit of Nepali too, maybe?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. My Nepalese is 0 to nil.
And I'll help you out. You can just say, Mero Nepali thikai cha. Mero Nepali thikai cha.
Mero Nepali ठीक है sir.
Oh, you got it.
That's very close to Hindi. मेरी हिंदी ठीक ठाक है. मेरो नेपाली ठीक sir.
मेरा हिंदी ठीक है.
Well done.
X, do me a favor. एकपल्ट देखाउ त सबैजनालाई कयामत से कयामत तक र बाजीगरको पोस्टर पनि एकचोटि देखाउन सबैजनालाई. How did Baazigar come to play? If you don't mind me asking this.
I don't mind you asking me anything.
Baazigar's. Did you ever think that Baazigar is going to be like what it is today, and that especially the Shah Rukh Khan?
Not a chance.
That dialogue.
I mean, I don't think anybody who says that I was sure that Sholay would be Sholay. Forget it. Nobody who's honest will be able to predict the scale of success. Yes, Baazigar came to me. Abbas and Mastan, they just came to me and offered me this role. I mean, and Venus was producing it, and the next thing I knew, I was called into the office at Venus, which was the producers of Baazigar, Mr. Ratan Jain's office. And there were Abbas and Mustan, who were the directors, and they gave me a narration. And I said, I was a little skeptical because they gave me a pretty good narration. Mm-hmm. But my motivating factor for Baazigar was that I would share screen space with Raki Gulzar.
Oh, that was
when they told me that Shah Rukh's mother is being played by the great and the most beautiful Raki ji. I said, yeah. I'll do this movie. So, they sort of generally I understood that there's this guy who's awful, he sort of takes over everything and takes over this empire and is really bad to this family and, just kind of an employee who takes over.
Yeah.
So that was all okay. And, it sounded very good because they were doing it on a good scale. And they said they've got this young actor called Shah Rukh Khan who's playing the lead. But I had worked with Shah Rukh in Deewana, which was also being shot at the time.
You guys around the time.
I'd already worked.
Friends. Yeah.
My first meeting with Shah Rukh was on the set of Deewana, which was being done by Raj Kavar. So I told them, I said, "मैं Shah Rukh के साथ मैंने काम किया है Deewana में." So that's it. They gave me a narration of Baazigar. I liked it. I thought it was a fun film. I also felt that they sold it to me on the car racing thing and said, "You got this car racing." They told me, "Sir, गाड़ी चलाते हो तुम?" तो मैंने कहा हाँ मैं चलाता हूँ क्यों? तो said, "Oh, we got this car racing scene और स्लीपर एम्बेदूर में शूट करेंगे और बहुत बड़ा Formula 2 का car race." So that turned me on. I said, "Wow, that sounds good. Yeah, I'd like to do some, driving these cars," which was really great fun. And the rest of it was a good, strong role. Yeah, I felt okay. But the thing that closed the deal for me was when they told me that I have screen space with Raki ji.
You were like super excited for that.
I said,
that was the thing.
I said, done, man. I'll do this movie.
And then as soon as that happened?
Maybe I shouldn't have shown too much enthusiasm because then it affects your commercial price. This guy's so keen to work with Raki, he's got paise kam kar do. No, I'm just joking. But that was motivating. And another movie which I actually didn't want to do but did was Ram Lakhan.
Huh. You didn't want to do that?
I didn't want to do Ram Lakhan because it was only in the beginning, in the prologue, I'm playing Anil and Jackie's father with their kids, which was okay. But then Subhash Ghai-ji is a very charming man and he's a wonderful filmmaker. And he told me, you have a song, Mere Do Anmol Ratan. And I told him, I said, Subhash ji, you know, this thing, yaar, main pehli reel mein mar jata hu koi. I said, what's the point here? He said, Subhash ji told me something that Ramesh Sippy Saab had told me in Shakti. Subhash ji said, इस पिक्चर में आपको कोई भूलेगा नहीं. तो मैंने कहा सुभाष जी रहने दीजिए ना, अभी पहले रील में मरता हूँ मैं, व्हाट डू यू मीन पूरी पिक्चर में मुझे भूलेंगे? He said, you trust me. Your character will not be forgotten till the end of the movie. And then he explained to me. So I told him, you have to explain to me how you come to this, why are you saying this? Then he told me, he said, your wife is Raki ji. So I said, oh God, this is like, too much. I'm definitely, already I was like, I'm going to do this movie.
Now you're so
and then when I actually went and saw the movie, he was right. I just told Subhashi, I hugged him and I said, sir, you are absolutely right and completely honest with me. Nobody forgot me in that movie because of Meri astiya rakhti hai, she keeps, these kind of emotional moments. Even though I wasn't alive as an actor character in the film, but my character was alive. So this is the magic of screenplay writing, which you learn as you go along. That not that I'll do something like that now, but at the time, Ram Lakhan was a very important film for me in terms of popularity.
What kind of movie did you like? Was there a movie that you missed that you really wanted to do? If you just reflect back now, when we just talk about this?
I have a very funny story on this. Back in the day, there was, everybody's heard of it, whoever knows commercial cinema at the time, when we were doing it, maybe not in your generation, but there was the great legendary Manmohan Desai ji, who did all these massive movies with Bachchan Saab and super hit films, all of them. I mean, they're just fantastic movies. Amar Akbar Anthony, and, great movies. So I had just finished Shan at the time, where I was playing one of the baddies with Kulbhushan's Den. So I got a gentleman came to my house and said that Manji ne aapko bulaya. Mr. Manmohan Desai, the way people used to call him in the film industry, he was Manji. So you were supposed to know who Manji is. So I asked him, I said, pardon my ignorance, but Manji kaun? Manmohan Desai sahab aapko bula rahe hain. So I thought to my, and I asked his assistant who came to my house to tell me. I said, वो तो ठीक है, मनमोहन देसाई मुझे बुला रहे हैं, वो ठीक है, लेकिन मेरा रोल क्या है? तो he said, बस वही है, आप जनरल डायर का नाम सुना आपने? तो मैंने कहा, हाँ, मैंने जनरल डायर का नाम, आप उनके लड़के हैं, आप बहुत ही गुस्से में हैं क्योंकि आपके बाप को हिंदुस्तान ने निकाल दिया, ये किया, वो किया, तो आप बदला लेने आते हैं और हिंदुस्तानियों की ऐसी की तैसी कर देते हैं आप. This is my job description. So I said, okay, I'll come. Then I figured that this role doesn't sound very convincing and all. General Dyer's son, I come back and Hindustaniyon ki aisi ki taisi kar diya. I sort of felt that there's something, it didn't strike me as anything that would be of any consequence. And the other thing was that I had just done Shan. So I was thinking to myself, why would a man as such a big filmmaker like Mr. Manmohan Desai call me for anything more than I've done in Shan? Which I had decided I'm going to, sort of have a career change.
Yeah,
I wanted to do other stuff. So I figured that if I go to Mr. Manmohan Desai's office, I can never sit across the table from him and refuse him.
Say no to him.
Say no to him at his face. That's not going to happen. So isse acha jao hi mat.
Skipped it.
I said just skip the meeting altogether. In my stupidity and my those days wisdom, I thought it was a brilliant plan. At that time, it made a lot of sense to me. I actually, best thing is to avoid the embarrassment. Don't go only. And I didn't go. And months and years, and became Mard. That was the movie he was making with Mard. It was a dynamic baddie character with Bachchan Saab. And many months later, his son, Ketan Desai, who I was to meet socially, said, Dalip, can I just ask you a question? Yaar, kya hua tumhe? Tum aaye kyun nahi? And I told him, I said, Yaar, Ketan, I really blew this. Yeah, man, I really got this wrong. But this was my reasoning. I felt that Manmohan Desai will not give me anything beyond Shan. I want to do something. So I decided not to come. He said, yeah.
Missed that.
So, and also see the way the job description was also said. So this is part of what was happening in those days. See, there were, and rightfully so to a large extent. I mean, when Manmohan Desai called you, you went. I think I'm the only moron who didn't go to meet Manmohan Desai.
When you reflect back now.
No, I mean, if Manmohan Desai Saab called you for a movie, people used to stand outside his office. They'll do anything for a Manmohan Desai film. Are you kidding me? तो एक सेकंड के लिए भी उनको कुछ आना है उनकी स्क्रीन पे मनमोहन देसाई की फिल्म में आ जाएंगे.
You didn't go.
तो but my thing was कि I don't want to do. I was sure it was going to be some henchman. Anyway, it was. You asked me about a film that I missed out in, and I'm telling you what it was, because in those days when big banners, they were called the big banners. When people like Manmohan Desai called you, you went. There was no question of मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, मेरा role क्या है, कुछ नहीं.
You just showed up.
You showed up. Yeah, absolutely. Because it was huge exposure. Any young actor would want to have screen time with Bachchan Saab and, like all the top stars. So from a career point of view, you have to be really a blockhead not to go for it.
What would you want to go ahead and say to friends now who somebody might be thinking that, I'll say it in Nepali, जाऊं कि ना जाऊं? Should I go or shouldn't I go? For an audition maybe, or for an interview maybe, or it can be anything related to not just acting, anything, Like, should I take the risk? Should I go ahead and take the leap of faith?
I think you always should, because those days there were no auditions, although it's a personal choice. So I can't interfere with that and say that it's your gut feel. I mean, if you feel you want to go for it, and there are doubts, I always think it's better to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
What can happen? You go to an audition, they won't take you. But you get to experience. You get to experience it. You get to understand how you are in auditions is the worst process. I mean, to all the young actors out there, all my years I've been in this industry, I promise you, I find the audition process so cumbersome and so difficult, because it just it doesn't reflect at all of what you're capable of doing. I don't know what it is that they want in auditions, but they want them for like a look test. Look tests are okay. Auditions are like rubbish. So to all those young actors, it's better to go and do it, because you don't know what they're looking for. So it's also good exercise from your point of view to be able to prepare what you have to prepare and go out there. And it's better to, I always believe it's better to do it and fail rather than not do it at all. Because then you never know. And that I'm telling you from my experience. So if something interests me and I'm called for an audition and I agree to go for an audition in the first place, you have to know what you're going for. I mean, if you find that, it's absolutely ridiculous, you don't want to do, that's your choice. You can tell the casting director that I'm not interested in the film.
Yeah.
But or the piece. But if you say that, yeah, I would like to test for this role, then go and do it.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
क्या होगा यार? End में कहेंगे नहीं, we're not taking you for the role. End, sorry. Go to the next one.
Rejection is okay. Failure is fine.
Rejection is, well, I mean, it's not okay when you're rejected, obviously. I mean, you don't feel very good about it. So, I mean, it hurts, but that's part of the process. You got to deal with that hurt. You got to deal with the fact that you personally are not wanted. That's the difficult part about this profession. That when you're rejected, it's not that you are rejected personally.
Yeah.
कि यार नहीं, तुम जमे नहीं इसमें. So there's a lot of soul searching. And,
constant rejection?
Yeah, there is a lot of rejection. It is not constant for me because I am still working. So there have been some pluses and there have been some acceptances. So, but rejection is never easy to deal with. Never easy to deal with.
To somebody who's just starting off, I'm just touching base with my audience.
Somebody who's starting off, it's cruel. It's cruel because people who are starting out are so vulnerable. You have doubts about yourself. You have, there's such a lot of areas when you're starting out that, you need that boost of confidence. But what I say and that's I come back to my original thing, that if you don't have a passion and you don't feel in your heart that you love this job, then every single rejection will be like, a nail in your coffin, which shouldn't be. I know it's easy to say it, but you have to take it in your stride if you want to be an actor. In today's day and age, there are a lot of auditions. And as much as you can, sometimes it's not you, it's certain roles that you may not fit into, which casting directors do. Because to all those young actors out there, I have to tell you, casting directors is another ball game altogether. The casting director's job is to give the director as many options as they can for that particular role. So actually, casting directors also have like a quota to fill in. कि एक को नहीं दिखा सकते हो, 5 लोगों को दिखा दो. Sometimes they take people who they know themselves कि will never get it.
Yeah.
लेकिन बुला लो, let's see law of that. Then there's also pricing. कि अच्छा इस budget में ये actor है वो actor. Then they fish. कि अच्छा नाम भी चाहिए, बड़ा नाम चाहिए तो इसको बुला लो. They fish around. So there's a lot of that happening. They ask you your quotation and this and that and the other. It's just that you have on file कि यार मैंने 5 लोगों को बताया. Because they get paid to give options to the producer. So they will take the top option, they will take 5 or 6 names and say, okay, this guy, iska ye hai, ye details, and they send it up. So there is that system happening there also with casting directors who are trying to fulfill their contractual obligations so that the producer doesn't turn around and tell them कि यार तुम favoritism कर रहे हो. तुमने सही लोगों को भेजा नहीं हमारे पास. ये 2 लोगों के साथ I want to see at least 10 people for this role. So sometimes it's a numbers game.
Yeah. Sometimes
to the young actors, I'm saying.
To the young friends.
So that they feel that, look, it's not you, it's a numbers kind of thing.
I remember in an interview somewhere, Shah Rukh Khan sir had said that I'm the last of the stars.
Last of the?
Stars.
Stars.
I'm the last
I
of
think
the
he
stars.
is. I think he is. Absolutely. I mean, see, Shah Rukh is a huge star. I mean, he's mega star and everything. And it's so amazing because I started working with him when he first came to Bombay. But if there's ever a person who I totally look up to and respect, beyond everything else, apart from the fact that he's a movie star, here's a guy, actually a young boy, who came to Bombay with such vulnerability. He'd lost his parents. And not to have that support in a city that you come and knew, you don't know how much it is, that you have your parents with you, even if they're not in the same city. It's such a huge thing. I've lost my parents, and I can understand how important it is in the beginning in your life when you're going. To come in that situation and do what he's done, he's absolutely the last star. I mean, he's a phenomenon. And then to achieve this his own way and to get to where without a doubt. And then he's also, the other thing that he's absolutely right is that he's become popular and become a star through the single screen format. Karan Johar also said a very important thing. He said, today there are well-known actors, but there are no stars because of OTT. As long as you're coming into people's homes and they don't have to go to the theater to see you and spend all that money and, popcorn and actually make an effort to see you, which happened in the single screen format from where Shah Rukh comes, and Amir and Salman. Shah Rukh is absolutely right when he says that, he's the last of the stars. He's the last tycoon. No, I mean, there's a lot of truth in that. Because today, it's the whole OTT system and everything is, you're well-known actors, but they're not like mega stars,
What do you think the future is going to be like, sir? Just touching base on this,
I think I think the future is great. I mean, there's generally, I mean, for the movies and everything, there's so many people who now have access to formats, like you say, like OTT, and people can, like you said, you watch films. You can watch films on your mobile phone, but you can make films on your mobile phone as well.
Yeah.
So today, if you have an idea, you don't have to go running around to financiers and to this and that and all. You could just make it on your mobile phone and get your ideas across there, and the movie could be a success. So that's great. I think the technology which helps people express themselves without being sort of, without the burden of finance and distribution and ye karo, wo karo, that's a burden. And that's what created the star system, because, it was if you didn't sell, you didn't work. And if you don't work, you don't sell. So it was a catch-22. So it became very difficult. Because of the way, there was only one way of doing movies, and that was go and put it on the big screen and shoot it the way we used to shoot it.
Yeah.
Technology has changed all that. Technology is the biggest innovator. It changes the way people write. It changes the way people present their content. It's always technology. If first television came. That technology helped people write scripts in a different way.
Yeah.
Then OTT came, and that helped. Today, when you can see something on your mobile phone, you can also shoot it on your mobile phone.
True.
So there's nothing stopping a young filmmaker who's got good ideas, has access today to be able to bring those ideas out.
Somebody who might be watching this in Hollywood, since we're speaking in English, or watching in Bollywood, or watching right here in our Nepali movie industry, might be interested in making Dakini.
Dakini, yes.
Along with you.
We're really hoping for that. I'm very keen to develop this with Deepak into, get our... This is the seed stage, which is always exciting, to bring together, like-minded people to write the script, to brainstorm, and to make this into the story, and it deserves to be on the screen. I mean, किसी भी हालत में इसको पर्दे पे लाना तो बहुत ज़रूरी है. अब what form it will take और कैसे होगा वो देखा जाएगा. लेकिन we're definitely in the planning stages to get this into a screenplay.
No, that's something that I'm super duper excited.
And
about,
I'm also keen through your wonderful meeting today that people should actually read it.
Yeah.
They should read it, because it's an omnibus, so it's a little.
No, we'll make sure that we push it. I see that you have a lot of arts coming out very soon. Notary. What is Notary, by the way?
Notary's name has now been changed to Avasthi versus Avasthi.
Avasthi.
It's a very, very interesting feature film. It's a small film, in terms of, but very, very nice film. And I can't give too much away because these days we're sworn by contracts.
Which language is it?
It's in Hindi.
Hindi, okay. That much I can ask.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting story. It's about a person who cannot lie. And he's a lawyer.
No.
So that leads to many situations of great fun. So Avasthi is a very interesting film. I am off now very soon, in the next couple of months, I'm going to be doing a Hindi Telugu film, which has Dhanush in the lead and the great and the superstar from the South, Nagarjun. So I'm looking forward to that project. It's a Hindi Telugu project. And that's going to be starting for me. I have a couple of offers for some web series. So, it's the things are in the pipeline.
And then there's going to be movies from Nepali movies coming in. I don't know how you're going to go ahead.
But I'm having most fun doing my social media little clips and these little reels, and it really is. It's been sort of. It's been fantastic. It's if I use a word called rejuvenating.
Yeah. No, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I spoke with your team as well. I spoke with a young friend from your team, and I was like, oh, no, don't worry about him. He's super chill. I was slightly worried, Yesterday I was slightly worried, and then I was, no, don't worry.
I can see
Bombay.
But I mean,
we're from Mumbai.
You took me out for such a lovely lunch. I mean, it was so fantastic. And I was thinking to myself, I said, I'm coming to this beautiful town of Kathmandu. It's got such a lot of tradition, the food and everything. I want to go to and you did it. You just took me to this place in the lanes and this quaint, old world, old city kind of thing where everything's happening. Thank you for that. Yeah, it was great. It was just such fun going into that place that actually the food could have been anything. I'd have loved it. I'd have loved it.
A few things I just want to ask before our time's almost up. You love traveling, right? Now, what are your plans in Kathmandu? Like, since I think we're releasing this today, so you're still here for a few more days.
I'm not. I'm actually I'm supposed to be leaving this evening for Pokhara.
Pokhara, yeah.
And then I'll be back in a few days.
What are your plans in Nepal, though, in general? Like, are you going to trek?
I want to sit with Deepak and talk about how we take this story forward, Dakini. And basically that's it. And just sitting around and going for treks on the T route. And Deepak has set this up for me, so I'll be doing a walk treks for 3 days. Then we're going to meet up again. We're going to meet up around the New Year's Eve and have a little bit of masti, a little bit of fun.
Of course,
in Pokhara, and then come back to Kathmandu and have more fun.
I've started having yesterday I posted a picture of us, and then I've gotten a few calls, a few friends who definitely want to hang out, and I'm like, I'm going to ask him. I don't know.
Hey man, at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun. Yeah, there's always a little bit of, it's fun for me. I mean, to be talking scripts and planning scripts and all. This is all part of my fun scene. But I love Kathmandu. I love coming to Nepal. Meeting you has been a pleasure. The people here have been, and I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. They've given me such a lot of love and respect, and they're so friendly, and they just want to know me and want to hang out, and I love all that. They're spontaneous, and it's a happy place to be here for me. It really is. I really like it.
This is home, all right?
This is
home.
For me,
thank you.
Thank
This is home,
you.
and you come back again and again and again. Probably stay here, like you said yesterday.
I would love to stay. I would love to stay. Absolutely. I grew up in the mountains, and I just love this mountain kingdom.
No, thank you so
beautiful.
much. Thank you so much for the chat, and I'll remember this for the rest of my life.
Appreciate
And
it.
I hope that down the road we catch up again like this.
Anytime. I mean, this has been wonderful. I mean, I'm really grateful to you to be able to communicate with through your wonderful platform, to be able to communicate to people in Nepal and Kathmandu. And generally, thanks very much. And I thank all the people who I've met so far. For all their hospitality and all the good vibes.
I can already sense it that we've seen your cinema in our theaters, Bollywood cinema, and your cinema in theaters here. Now we're going to see you in a Nepali movie and then to go see it in the theater.
Let's do it. That's
going to be awesome.
Yeah,
we'll make it happen. I love you, sir.
Yeah, you come as my Nepali dialogue coach. If you can spare the time.
मैं बेटा बन गया हूँगा सर in the cinema.
Nepali में dialogue बोलने संजय को बुलाओ.
No, I'll come, sir. I'll come.
Thank you so much. I'm just kidding.
I love you, sir. And
me. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say this one more time. Even if I'm 1% as cool as you down the road, I'm going to be
You'll
satisfied.
be 10 times more cool as me. You're already cool.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.